Hi, my name is Mark Smith and I'm the Director of Strategic Markets at LexisNexis. I've been asked to share 3 pieces of advice, and the theme for my advice is all around focus. So my first one is about what to focus on, and ultimately it's about this challenge of the urgent eating the important, as to kind of paraphrase Eisenhower. Now, I recall from my time as an in-house lawyer, the amount of pressure, the amount of requests on my time. And ultimately, at the heart of this is an acceptance that we will never keep everybody happy. Work will always demand more of us than we can provide. And so that means making choices. And at the heart of this piece of advice is something which sounds remarkably simple, but honestly, I've found if you take it to heart, it makes a big difference in the way you operate. And that is to accept that every time you say yes to something, you are taking responsibility for spending less time on the things that you're already committed to, the things that are really important. Now, it sounds like a small shift, but actually understanding that helps you become a lot more thoughtful about what you say yes and what you say no to. And ultimately, it does need to be followed up with some potentially tough and honest conversations with key stakeholders around prioritization. Now, it's not to say that sometimes you won't still be overcommitted, but ultimately taking a long, hard look at the things that you do that are really important to you, to your team and your stakeholders, and all the rest of the things. Greg McKeown, in his fabulous book Essentialism, talks about the vital few versus the inessential many. So understanding what they are, thinking about that, whether it's on an annual, whether it's on a quarterly, a weekly, or even a daily basis, just making sure you do the right work is critical. Number 2 then is about the how. And I mentioned saying no to some things will require some difficult conversations, and that in itself is a skill that gets easier the more you do it. But a key thing I want to focus now on is delegation. And delegation is often assumed to be a very simple thing. It's a linear passing almost of the chain of command. I'm going to ask somebody else to do this for me by this date. But in reality, in the complex organizations that we work in these days, it often doesn't work out so well. And certainly as lawyers, we can have a tendency to cling on to the work, to believe nobody else can do it as well as we can. And that may or may not be the case, but ultimately in the long term, delegation is a key tool in growing the capability of your team. And good delegation, like saying no to things, is an art. And ultimately, you can get better at it. But feedback is critical to that. Another book recommendation for you alongside Essentialism by McKeown is Deep and Deliberate Delegation by Dave Stitt, which is a really fascinating and practical look at how to delegate better. And then the last piece is about why, why it's important to focus. And this is all about the bigger picture outside of work. And one of the observations that I have is that often as professionals get busy, they sacrifice themselves. It's the things that make them happy outside work that give to make space for the increased volume of work that they take on. And whether it's your health, whether it's your family, whether it's your community, whether it's something else that's important to you, maybe something you just enjoy doing, life is a little bit more monotone if you take those things away. And so what I'm encouraging you to do is another phrase from Essentialism: protect the asset. Really important to keep that bigger picture in play. And it's also what helps us keep free of burnout, keeps our energy and motivation up at the office. My final book recommendation for you is called Great at Work by Morton, Hanson. And one of the key principles that his research, which covers over 5,000 managers and employees, shows is that ultimately productivity is limited and you get diminishing returns the more hours that you put in. So while on times we may have to burn the candle at both ends and put in some big shifts, ultimately that's not a long-term sustainable solution. So my strong piece of advice for you, and I hope it's helpful, is all about focus. Focus is the key to ultimately being more productive, getting the right work done and not burning yourself out. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.